all I ate all summer was Oscar Mayer cheese dogs. So I would just buy 8 packs of cheddar dogs or cheese dogs.
Yeah.
And
These are hot dogs with cheese inside.
mm-hmm,
Right?
Yeah,
they're absolutely delicious. Yeah. And instead of using paper plates because they were too expensive, I just had a shoebox, and I just kept throwing cheese dogs in there and microwaving them and eating cheese dogs out of a shoebox.
A shoebox or the same shoebox?
I didn't have like a stash of shoeboxes.
Okay. Just want to confirm
I remember
here.
I would put paper towels down just so it wouldn't get too greasy. I mean, it was gross. It was gross for sure. But that was.
Yeah, you're putting paper towels down to kind of keep it from getting too bad.
Yeah, I was a cost-conscious college student.
I probably would have just gone with just the paper towels.
Yeah, I guess that would work too. I guess I wanted to keep it from rolling off, or I don't know what the hell I was doing. But
Were you using buns, or were you just like
I think when
cheese dog just straight up?
I think it was always weird because the buns would come in packs of 10 and the dogs were in 8. So there were times where I'd have too many buns or too many dogs.
Yep. Yeah.
So that was a problem. But I made it through at that time. Or I was playing a lot of Riddick at that time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of Riddick and cheese dog
Riddick and
shoeboxes.
cheese dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that summer of 05 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's that.
I see nothing wrong with this.
Well, now we all know. Man.
Except that I would have used the shoebox lid,
That's smart because that would keep it from rolling out and stuff. Yeah.
and I maybe would have even not used that and just gone paper towel and just hoped that it wouldn't roll.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the shoebox. I'm resourceful.
Yeah, might as well use it.
Your local like Goodwill or Salvation Army likely to sell plates for probably 30 to 50 cents
it
a piece.
wasn't the cost of because I think I had actual
You
plates,
probably
like ceramic
spent
plates.
more on the
I just
paper towels than
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I know I had like real ass plates, and I still do. I just never use them because you got to clean them. Here's the way you do it: is because I found it was always hard to find plastic knives just by themselves. They always came in boxes with the spoons and forks, and so I go through a lot of knives just for peanut butter and stuff. And so I just went on Amazon one day and I bought a box of 1,000 plastic knives, and that was like 4 years ago, and I still have a lot of plastic knives.
It's
like a box I have to move when I move.
One time I went to Wendy's and
Also, when you go to Taco Bell, ask for like 30 things of fire sauce and just keep them in a drawer and put them on eggs, put them on whatever. That fire sauce is great, and it's free.
yeah.
Please tell me you're recycling all those knives.
Are they recyclable? I don't even know what's recyclable.
I have to imagine they are.
I'm eating using spoons and forks made out of corn.
Yes.
So technically, I could eat
not.
the utensils.
I wouldn't
Like the
recommend
ones
it.
you have probably aren't.
I wouldn't
the ones
say
we have
it's
here.
here.
Yeah, the ones here.
Yeah, the tan ones.
So I could just eat the spoons and forks here.
I don't
You
think that's a
could.
good idea.
But I mean, it's food.
No.
It's processed in such a way that might be a bad idea. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
legally, I can't tell you to do that.
Like,
I like a bargain, Jeff. And if I can just eat the utensils here.
Yeah. I mean, think of all the food you could just not buy. You could stop going out to lunch
my
and just
God.
like, I had 5 forks for lunch.
oh my fucking.
I'm eating a fork with a fork.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
A
can
bowl of forks.
I got this bowl of forks here.
You eat forks with the
I
spoon.
grind them up. You grind them up, put
Microwave
them in a
and see what
smoothie.
happens. And yeah, there's a fucking,
They'll get melty.
yeah.
I can't do this anymore. I can't.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear the rest of his shit talking?
Sure.
We've kind of covered the meat of the message
Yeah,
here.
let's do it.
Please either keep your resident food racist on a shorter leash or at least parlay the embarrassing situation into new premium content where you force him to eat food cooked for people with a palate more complex than a 6-year-old's.
Speaking of embarrassing food stuff, can I tell maybe my most embarrassing food story? Just give him
Please.
some more ammo?
yes.
I want to give him some ammo.
Absolutely.
All right. Some people that know me have probably heard the story, but I don't know if any of you have heard the egg white story. I'll debut that one on Giant Bomb.
Okay,
here.
yeah.
This is a true story from about, I want to guess, 2008.
It's a good start.
I kind of go on like healthy kicks or whatever, where I'm like, I'm going to eat real good and, lose some weight and stuff. And I read that egg whites were really healthy for you. And so I was in my apartment and not much of a cook, certainly wasn't back then. But I took a pan and I put it on the thing and I turned the heat up to medium or something. And I told myself I was just going to eat the egg whites. I wasn't going to have the yolk because I heard that's high cholesterol and I had some pretty high cholesterol that time.
Okay.
And so I took 5 eggs, I took them over to the sink, I cracked it on the edge, I dumped the entire egg contents into the sink and threw the shell into the pan. Because I assumed that the egg whites Or, well, I mean, the shell is white.
The shell is white.
Yeah,
I'll back you up on that.
can't. Yeah, there's no arguing that.
I'm getting all tingly over here.
I threw 5 eggs away and threw the shells of 5 eggs into a pan, and I'm staring at them and I'm waiting for them to look edible. And I'm like, at some point they're gonna like melt and look scrambly or something, or maybe like I take a spatula and I'm starting to poke away at the shells. Maybe it's like, oh, maybe if they get into smaller pieces, they'll get melty quicker. So I break them all up, and it just looks like a bunch of eggshells in a pan. And I'm scooting it around with the spatula. It's not doing anything. I call my mom up, and I was like, Mom, I'm trying to make egg whites here, and like these shells are not melting. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, just the shells. I don't know if I need to turn up the heat or whatever. She's like, what do you mean the shells? I was like, the whites. And she's like, no, you know the whites and the shells, or you don't eat the shells. And so yeah, that was the first time I tried to make egg whites.
Oh my god!
I do them right now.
That's incredible.
I have them for breakfast now.
That is truly incredible.
I can learn.
You toss the yolk?
Yeah, yeah, I crack it now, and I do the thing where you slide them back and forth, and
Between the two halves of the shell?
yeah, and then all the whites come out into a bowl, and then you dump the yolk and the shell. I throw the shell away now.
You never just done like the carton of egg beaters or whatever? Like
I've done that, but then I heard it's not as healthy or something.
That weirds me out. It's just like, here's like a zillion eggs in a carton.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. There's something.
I'll do the extra work just to do it right.
Crack it open and drink it down.
Oh, like Rocky.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oof.
Yep. So that's that. So if you want some ammo from me being a food idiot, there you go.
And what did you just buy with your trade-in money?
Fucking Drew with his Drew's got this crazy Jedi trick to where he can make me buy anything. Apparently, he made me buy this book that I don't even know what it's about. About Old Man's War, and now you just made me spend $200 this morning on a Savio Vega machine or a Sausalito maker or what the hell is it called?
Sausalito maker?
Sausalito
called?
a Savio Vega? What?
The words you're
I'm
saying.
guessing it has to. You have to be talking about sous vide.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah,
Not,
But I'm
not
gonna-
even fucking close
I'm
with
gonna
the
call
words
it-
that you said.
I'm going to call it a
S's and
Sausalito
B's,
maker.
I don't know.
Sausalito
Yeah.
is a place in
Can't wait
California.
to get
Savio
home.
Vega sounds like the dude who played like Raul from Street Fighter combined with Vega, the character from Street
He's the
Fighter.
guy that feuded with Razor Ramon
Go
in
home,
95.
crack open a couple beers. I'm going to Sausalito me a couple of steaks.
No, it's some crazy thing you put into a pot and it magically
Yeah,
makes
no.
like
Oh,
meat
yeah,
that's
no,
we
we've-
know what sous vide is.
We've discussed sous vide at length on this podcast.
Here's why
before.
it's amazing, though, is because I've always wanted to make just tons of meat at home and eat it for all my dinners, and I never do because I'm afraid I'm going to kill myself if I try to cook meat because I don't know how to cook. But Drew told me you just throw it in a bag and a pot, and you throw this magic wand thing in there, and then it makes perfect meat.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just going to eat nothing but meat.
You're aware
every night.
You're aware that it's not going to have any like it's. I'm going to describe it in a negative way. I am pro sous vide, but I'm going to describe it in a negative way first. It's going to be basically like gray, like not colored like a steak you cook on the grill, colored, and then you'll cut it and it'll be perfectly temperatured. and
I don't
delicious
give a
inside.
shit what it looks
Okay,
like.
cool.
As
Well,
long
it's
as
not
tastes
just what
like
it
a
looks
fucking
like.
steak.
It's not just what it looks like. It's not going to have any of that nice like sear on the outside.
You know, I think I'm not a picky guy. I just
Yeah.
like to eat it, just a big hunk of meat.
I think you'll
And
like
if it's
it.
edible and it's meat, I'm gonna like
just
it.
I mean,
season
if
it a
you
little
want the
bit.
sear, then you sear it.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Yeah,
that sounds
solves the
confusing.
problem.
You
Jeff-
could actually buy a blowtorch and sear it.
That sounds like a great
Yeah,
idea.
you could do that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Or you can just throw it on a skillet for like 90 seconds
Yeah.
aside.
Do you guys have some sort of like? Do you get the money you pay Dan back if he dies in the first 6 months? He's trying to kill him in some creative way.
Yeah, we rented him on PlayStation Now. It's like
Oh, come on!
Okay, so the reason I had to have LASIK and also now have to have glasses and contacts is I had normal ass vision, and then in first grade, for some reason, I thought the idea of glasses were really cool. That it was like some cool, like almost like superhero accessory. Like, oh, I'm going to put these things on my face and I can see really far, and I wanted them,
Yep.
even though I could see fine anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, so I purposely bombed the eye test when they came to my school. And I just bombed the fuck out of it. Like, you know, just like I'd see a giant E. And I'd be, man, you know, I just bombed the hell out of it. And so they gave me a prescription for these really strong glasses that I didn't need because I was seeing fine. And I just had to force myself through, like, wearing these glasses as much as I could or could tolerate for a long time until it just fucked up my eyes enough.
how long
to
are we
where-
talking? Like
Years? This is like first grade, man. I just remember, like, I wouldn't wear them all the time because it would start hurting my head and I just couldn't see, like,
Can you go back and read my email again? I feel like it's now.
yeah, this is real stupid.
When everyone who was like, "Wow, that's a really harsh thing to say to him," like, just read it after this.
Oh.
And it's not
maybe
going to
this
sound.
is maybe if I have one regret in my life, it's maybe doing this because
This is your one regret.
I could see
I don't
that.
have any other
It's
ones.
a pretty big deal.
Yeah, everything else worked out. So as I got older, it's just I had to keep getting progressively stronger and stronger contacts and glasses to where I was like my contact prescriptions, I think were like -7, which if you have contacts, that's pretty
about mine,
damn
yeah.
strong. And so I couldn't see shit. And so in 2007, I got LASIK. And then all of a sudden I've got 2015 vision. It's awesome.
Boom. Lasers in your eyes.
Yeah, but then it turns out my eyes were still degrading, and so now they're getting down to the point, too, where I wear contacts and glasses again. It's nowhere near as bad as it was before LASIK, but yeah, I basically fucked up my eyesight real bad for life because I thought it'd be cool to have, like, cool things on my face that made me see far.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that's the one regret.
It must be hard to be a doctor and be worried constantly, like basically being a veterinarian, but for creatures that can talk and lie to you. Like being a pediatrician must just be like, I don't know, this kid could be making all this shit up. Like, how would I know?
I'm going to guess that the majority of people aren't out there like working against their own self-interests in the doctor's office.
I thought it was going to get me a cool thing.
I'm guessing most people actually.
Less per meal
Yes.
and then more frequently.
Yep. It's effective. Niall wants to know about the Dreamcast. Specifically, the death of the Dreamcast.
All right, you get 3 cheese roll-ups.
Yep.
Shove them
Put them in the
Dreamcast.
disc case.
Yeah.
I was talking about the launch of the Dreamcast not 48 hours ago.
Okay.
Specifically, my trip to New York and all that stuff.
Okay. Well, let's bring it all home then with the end of that whole thing.
Yes.
Hey, Bombcast crew, I have a question about the death of the Dreamcast and Sega's exit from the console space. What was the series of events that led to that decision from Sega? And was the exit already rumored before it happened, or was it an actual surprise that came out of nowhere? I know that the Saturn was a bit of a boondoggle for them, and the PS2 stomped them pretty hard. But other than that, I don't really know what the atmosphere was. What the atmosphere was like around Sega at the time, and how shocking this news actually was. I wasn't following game news much back then, and now any coverage of the matter I can find only deals with the announcement and the aftermath, not the lead up. Any nuggets of info would be appreciated.
I remember Sega being dicey in the lead up to that announcement. Like that there was just, they so all of a sudden didn't seem like they had their shit together the way they normally did.
Are you saying that as somebody on the inside who was working with them as a company?
Yeah,
Okay.
who was, trying to contact them about upcoming games and stuff like that. Like
Right.
there was just, at some point, the flow of software seemed to change, and their accessibility and ease to work with seemed just a little different.
Like they knew.
I don't know.
Somebody
if they
knew.
Yeah, I mean, sure, somebody knew.
Obviously, the atmosphere or the culture was probably changing.
But I think it was one of those things where also, like, like the writing was starting to really hit the wall on that stuff for a couple of reasons. And it was just like the software wasn't selling, like it wasn't connecting with people the way that it should have been. Or would have been if the games were better, I guess, ultimately. It's like there was just some stuff coming out. You're like, I mean, there's some innovation here. There's some really interesting stuff, but it's just not like it's too weird still. They would innovate and put out, a big online game like Alien Front Online or something like that. And, it's like, here's this action game, this shooter and stuff like that. But like,
PSO.
it never got out there in a way that fit, with the other shooters. And it never just, they didn't market it at all. I don't remember if they even marketed it at all. They probably did. But, they just didn't seem like they had their shit together when it came to getting their games in front of people. And the PS2 was just fucking drilling it every chance it had, just on perception alone. Even before the PS2 was out, like all people were talking about is how much they wanted a PS2. Yep. And
everybody's saying I'm not getting the Dreamcast because I'm waiting for the PS2.
And then you had, I mean, there's a ton of factors. I mean, it's like weird to think about now, but like at that time, when EA said we're not making games for the Dreamcast, like Madden was a very big deal, and it's crazy to think because Sega went out and made a better fucking football game.
Oh, yeah.
But that didn't matter because they didn't have Madden. So you had people who were like, well, I'm waiting for the PS2 because I know that they're going to have Madden. And I think a lot of people that had that attitude were not super educated and did not follow games very closely. Otherwise, they would have known, like, that's ridiculous, and this football game's actually better. But it's like, whatever, I need Madden. The same way, it's like, if 4 years ago or something, someone had said, like, oh, well, there's no Call of Duty on this platform. I would have been like, what? Well, fuck you. I'm not getting that. I was like, well, we got 9 other shooters. No? All right. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, there just seemed like there were some subtle, weird changes that, like, when they made that announcement, the extent of it was shocking, but not that shocking, I guess.
I mean, you were on the conference call, right?
I was, yeah.
Like, what was the language? So just like exiting
Peter Moore saying, like,
console business.
We are effective. Oh man, I wish I don't know. I wonder if
there's
that
a recording out there somewhere. Yeah. Kind of want to hear that now.
I kind of want to hear if like my weird thing is part of that.
What did you ask a question?
No, I didn't. But so I know I've told this story.
I think I know where this is going.
But like, so Dan probably hasn't heard it at least. The day that they canceled the Dreamcast, I was homesick, and they said, we're having a conference call to talk about the future of the Dreamcast. And it was like ominous in a way. You're like, oh, like at that point, I think I want to say like the day before that or something, like it had gotten out a little bit, and retailers were like running from the fucking Dreamcast or whatever it was. But you kind of knew that something drastic was about to happen from just the tenor of things the past couple days. So I was home just stomach sick. So I was on the toilet doing what you do when your stomach's sick.
What's that?
Just emptying. It was making a goddamn mess. And listening to this conference call, which I had on a speakerphone in the other room and muted. And just at one point, they're at the end of the call, they took questions, like you do on an investor phone call, where like, you push the button and say your name when you connect to the call, so they know who's who. And then you push a button saying you have a question. And at some point, they just go, Jeff Gerstmann from videogames.com, you have a question? Or I guess we were actually just GameSpot at that point. We were all merged in, I think. And there I am sitting on the toilet, and another one's going, and I just stayed deadly silent. I knew the phone was muted, but I was like, hello? And then I went on to the next call, but I was just like, yeah, I don't know. That's how I remember the cancellation of the Dreamcast.
That's fitting.
That's great. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's like, so it's, the story of the launch of the Dreamcast was super weird for me. The cancellation was super weird for me. What was that 02? 01? Yeah.
One or the other.
I think they made it to maybe 02.
That sounds right. I think it was early in the year.
Also, piracy had become a real problem.
Yeah, you're right.
That was the other.
That was the arc of the Dreamcast for me. I was still in college, like, or toward the end, I guess. But, well, no, because it launched, $99.99 was the thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I had multiple friends who went to the local mall and, like, stood in line and got that thing at midnight and came back, and we all played Soul Calibur and drank shitty beer and, like, had our minds blown, you know? Yeah. Like, at the time, it seemed like a big fucking deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I remember seeing it in
the launch of it was a big deal.
Yeah, like, it seemed like, shit, they moved hardware. They turned this into an event. Like, people went and lined up for it, and it looks amazing. Like, this is going to be something.
And they got a spot on Good Morning America.
Yeah, sure. But then, over time, like, I remember toward the end, like, as I was, like, close to graduation and coming out here and stuff, like, half my friends just had binders full of CDRs,
Yeah.
Because that was the point where you didn't even have you didn't have to mod the
There was
thing.
no boot disk or anything.
Yeah.
It was just
No.
you were just
You could
burning
literally
the disc
just
directly.
download
and
like stripped images of games and burn it and play it. And I was just like, oh my god, like this thing got pirated so fucking bad.
Yeah, and so that spooked a lot of the third parties, and the third party support wasn't outstanding.
Right.
So
it wasn't.
we
it
never
wasn't,
saw Pen Triathlon 2, which is this real
Yeah.
unfortunate.
So you don't think it was a hardware install based thing so much as just the games weren't moving?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think that the hardware didn't catch on at the rate that it maybe should have for as cool of a system that was out of the gate.
Yeah.
I think the software didn't always hold up its end of the bargain, especially some of the third party stuff. And I think to some extent tastes were changing. The quirky stuff that was coming out of the Dreamcast is it's amazing because it's stuff that just Tokyo Bus Guide coming out in Japan and
Yeah.
just going and getting all this freaky shit, importing stuff and all that was just amazing. But the people wanted Madden,
Yeah.
and that was on PS2. Namco never really got truly serious about the Dreamcast.
Launch. Soul Calibur.
Yeah, I mean, Soul Calibur is as serious as it gets, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
that's still one of the marquee games, but they were never really there fully. It felt like.
Was there ever a Tekken?
No, not on
That
Dreamcast.
was the
that's right,
fucking
just
fucked up
Tekken,
thing that
yeah.
happened. As I was on whatever GameSpot TV talking to Sessler around the time of the Dreamcast launch, and I said I would really like to see a Tekken game on this system, and then that got translated into Japanese. And then when it aired in Japan, it said, I can't, basically it was like me saying that there was a Tekken game coming. So then Japan reported that
Whoa.
we have word that a Tekken game's coming to the Dreamcast.
Wow.
And then by the time it all got debunked, it was like, everyone's an idiot. Everyone in this whole chain of events is super dumb.
Wow.
Jeff, your words.
Because it got back to me and I was like,
Made
fucking
manifest.
awesome, they're making a Tekken. Oh, it's fucking great. I was just saying how they should do that.
Yeah.
I remember being so disappointed when I brought my Dreamcast home on launch day, which I won on a bet, which is great. On launch day, I won a bet and won a Dreamcast. But I assumed
Well, hang on. What was the bet?
it's real stupid. My mom.
No.
It was. It was whatever the Sunday was before the launch day of $99.99, and I wanted the Dreamcast, but I didn't have the money. And my mom was upstairs, and I was downstairs.
$92.99 maybe? Or the Sunday before. Okay, never mind.
Whatever
Never
it
mind.
was. Yeah, and my mom was like, what channel's the Chiefs game on? Because I was starting to watch it downstairs. It was like the first quarter. And I was like, oh, it's on CBS. And she's like, nah, that's not right. It's got to be on NBC. I was like, no, I've got it on down here. It's on CBS. I see the little eye logo here. She's like, that's not right. I'll bet you anything. I was like, all right. Dreamcast is coming out in a couple days. How about if it's on CBS, you buy me Dreamcast on launch day? If not, I'll do chores for free for 3 months because I knew I was right. She's like, you're on. And so I told her to come downstairs, and she saw the CBS logo, and she's like, all right, I guess I got to buy you a Dreamcast.
Hell.
Yeah, and so I got it, and I got
Man.
NFL 2K, Ready to Rumble Boxing, Soul Calibur, and Sonic Adventure.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you
Merry
get the re-release of Ready to Rumble that had the little sticker on it so it didn't have the audio bug?
I don't think so.
So there was a
Oh,
problem with the
yeah.
first run of games where
That's
there would be
right.
like an audio
right.
issue
Yeah, I remember that.
that they ended up re-releasing.
More
some of those
importantly,
games.
did you do your chores?
no, because I won the bet.
He won the bet.
Yeah,
The bet was if I lost, I
that
had to
doesn't,
do the
doesn't
chores.
absolve you from responsibility of doing your chores.
No, I had Soul Calibur. I didn't need chores. I didn't need money. But I was so bummed out because, having not been a PC gamer ever, I'd never been able to play games online. And it always sounded like the most fascinating thing in the world to me. I remember, trying to install Half-Life and so I could play Team Fortress because it sounded like the coolest thing in the world. And just nothing worked because I don't even think we had the internet back then. So finally...
that would do it.
Yeah. Which I remember going to DOS and the C:\\. I remember seeing commercials for Zoop on Super Nintendo,
Yep.
that puzzle game, and being like, hey, you can play a demo of Zoop right now if you go to zoop.com. And I was like, I can play this game for free. And so I would go to the C prompt on DOS and be like, www.zoop.com, and be like, file directory not found. It's like, I'm going to kids at school would be like, I know how to hack onto the internet. And I'd be like, oh, I can figure this out. So I got the C: thing. I'll figure out how to hack into it and play Zoop. Where the hell was I going with all that? It was,
Did you ever finally play Zoop and go, oh man?
I bought Zoop at Blockbuster. They had a used, after PlayStation already came out, I bought it
Yeah.
for $5 and never played it much. But, God, where the hell was I going? Yeah, so I always want to play online games, and I was reading the AGM and everything that, the Dreamcast is going to be ready for online, right out of the gate. And I was like, oh, awesome, I finally get to play these games. And I was so hyped for Soul Calibur, and it delivered. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But I would see these reviews that are like 10 out of 10 from EGM. Like, the whole review crew said 10 out of 10. And so I got it, and I just assumed I was going to be able to play it online right away. So I get home, I just put my Dreamcast down, not knowing anything about the internet, and I just took the 56K, the phone thing or whatever, just plugged it into my Dreamcast. I'm like going through the menus, like, all right, do I go into Versus to play online? And turns out you have to like build a game to play online. It's not just a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
So
It's not like the X-Band.
Sega Channel.
Yeah.
I think it had the modem built in, right?
Yeah.
It was,
had a
it was
56K.
removable, but yes.
Okay, but you didn't have to buy it separately.
Nope.
Right?
No.
Okay.
Remember the GameCube had some separate thing. Like, I guess you could technically play Mario Kart Double Dash through a modem thing.
Yeah, there was you could
they had a
slap
Phantasy Star
you could
or
slap
something?
a broadband adapter like Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah, I remember
Episode 3, the card battling game.
Yeah, I remember selling those at GameStop. Just being like, why the fuck is this? Like, I didn't even know games it worked for.
Yeah, the Dreamcast was kind of a special system,
It was.
I was thinking.
and we likely shall not see its like again. It just seems too weird in retrospect.
Yeah,
You know?
like games are weird in a different way now.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you see some of that spirit, but a lot of it is just independent games coming out of the PC
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and now consoles too. But
You're not seeing a lot of space channels and jet grinds anymore.
Right, and
Samba de Amigos.
Choo-choo rockets and Seamans.
well,
and
we're seeing, like was it Curse the Necro Dancer?
Yeah,
or whatever.
sure,
You know, it's like
sure.
there's like
But even a lot of that stuff
exists.
Even
you know?
even a lot of that stuff hews a little more closely to establish kind of rule sets and stuff.
think
You know,
you're
it's
right.
like it's a rhythm game and a roguelike, but those are still things that you know. As opposed to like Seaman, like what the fuck was
Seaman
that?
was awesome. I loved Seaman.
Where did stuff like that come from? Like
Wherever Gang Beasts
all
came
these,
from.
yeah. Gang Beast is like kind of an example of like not in my wildest dreams could I have envisioned a game like this, and yet here it is.
I still would put it to you that I think that like you're right on like an individual case by case level, but I think like today, right now, games have never been better.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
No,
the
they're
offering has never been
there are
richer.
Yeah,
and
more and better and more varied games. You're
Yeah.
totally right. I mean, also part of it was that there was such a unified like corporate backing to this thing. You know, like to see a giant corporation make this system,
Yeah.
and put that kind of oomph behind it, like that. You know, you're going to see it iterated on by like little indie studios over and over.
Right,
But
right.
To see one big publisher, putting that much money behind it, it's kind of insane.
Sega was always a weird fucking company.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made their arcade transition. They did their stuff. You know, it was just they were always crazy.
Yeah.
Food puppy? Mommy pup.